And it sounds like Dad called the RV park, the other RV park, the one was hoping to get into. I guess I could listen to the new stuff. I wasn't able to yesterday.
Perhaps the biggest legal story of this past week has been Donald Trump's invocation of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, and then the fallout thereafter, where a federal judge issued a.
So that is what that gal shirt was about. Well, I was at Walmart yesterday. Saw 1798 shirt. It's there. 1798, and on the back is the American flag in black and white. Well, now I know what that's about.
Injunction for 14 days, saying that at least under the Alien Enemies Act, until we understand what it is that you're invoking, what you actually sign, what type of process you're going to be affording to people to make sure that they're actually terrorist, enemy combatant, gang members, hybrid warfare people versus just innocent people. Until that pause on 14 days, it seems like the Trump regime violated that order. And then there was a fight throughout the week where Donald Trump started attacking the federal judge, Judge Boasberg, one of the most experienced federal judges in this specific area as well when it comes to counterterrorism issues, foreign intelligence. He's the chief judge of Washington, D.C. There was a showdown hearing that took place on Friday. All of this evidence started to come out from the ACLU lawyers.
That's good.
To bring this case, we're learning that women were sent to concentration camps in El Salvador, which was only used for men, and they had to be sent back to like Venezuela, where a lot of them are already political exiles from the Maduro regime. So what's going to actually happen to them? We've heard stories, for example, of like professional football, soccer players, football international players who had Real Madrid tattoos, political exiles from Venezuela, fleeing the Maduro regime here lawfully as asylum seekers. People like that were apparently sent to the concentration camps in El Salvador. And we're at this kind of showdown in federal court. We're going to talk about that. One of the strangest things, though, that happened at the end of the week was Donald Trump saying that he did not sign the Alien Enemies Act invocation that led to all of this. He said other people signed it, and he's not even sure really what it is. Just you can hear him in your own words. So
Yeah, that's not something I wanted to hear. No matter how that's spun, I didn't want to hear that. And it honestly makes me wonder if he's lying. Pablo's playing in sync again. Yeah, that would mean that either A, somebody slipped it past him, or B, somebody forged his signature. Or D, or sorry, A, B, C, he's just lying. Hi, baby girl. She's like, I'm lying. I'm lying, yes. Thank you.
I buy cheap from CDKs.
Well, I buy cheaper from CDKs too, but they don't pay me for it.
Old Mage Guy is now live, streaming Just Chatting, Moving Day.
Like this judge, who the DOJ is arguing with today about the deportation flight. He wants to know why the proclamation was signed in the dark, his words, and why people were rushed on the plane. Because we want to get criminals out of our country, number one, and I don't know when it was signed because I didn't sign it. Other people handled it. But Marco Rubio's done a great job, and he wanted them out, and we go along with that. We want to get...
So then the White House responded and said, this is an exact verbatim quote from the White House, that Donald Trump was clearly referring to the fact that he did not sign the original Alien Entities Act of 1798, that he did not use a time machine to go back into 1798. He was not talking about the Alien Entities Act
bullshit.
From this past week. You know, Popok, what would be interesting from this court hearing before Judge Boasberg was that the Department of Justice lawyer admitted that he understood the judge's lawyer to prohibit the flight that was about to take off when they were rushing it from going to the first place, essentially admitting that they violated the order. That may be why Trump's trying to throw, I don't know, Secretary of State Marco Rubio or other people under the bus. Another notable thing from that court hearing is when Judge Jeff Boasberg, the federal judge, was questioning the DOJ attorney. What do you know? Tell me about this. And the DOJ attorney responded that he didn't personally know a lot of the information, and Boasberg said, I often tell my clerks before they go out in the world to practice law, the most treasured, valued item is reputation and credibility. That's one of the things that Boasberg told the attorney. And then Boasberg asked the Justice Department attorney, you understood that my temporary restraining order against summarily deporting people doesn't mean that those people get released into the public. It just means they go through the normal process that has always existed. And then Popok, one of the things we're learning, of course, is this ACLU attorney said there were people who were returned from El Salvador after their flights because they were either not Venezuelan or were women, and the El Salvadoran government declined to take them. Boasberg vowed to get to the bottom of this again. Judge Jeff Boasberg is the chief judge in Washington, D.C. He was someone who was the chief judge of the FISA courts, and here's someone who was first appointed by George W. Bush to the D.C. district, and then became a federal judge thereafter by Obama. He went to Yale. He was in Justice Kavanaugh's class.
He was Kavanaugh's roommate.
A widely respected, judge. So, Popok, I think we start there, and the Chief Justice John Roberts had something to say.
To the end for a discount code to restreams uploaded stream being a content creator.
Judge, so Popok, I think we start there, and the Chief Justice John Roberts had something to say.
Yeah, it's why they picked this hill to die on, the Trump administration, and drawing their line in the sand about exercising this phony war power and trying to rush this, no pun intended, rush this judge, call him out, and say things out loud outside the courtroom that he would never try to get away with inside the courtroom. In fact, the judge even didn't like the things they've been saying inside the courtroom, telling Drew Ensign, the meat puppet that they wheeled out on purpose without any real preparation So he couldn't answer questions. It's implausible deniability. The types of lawyers that this is what I'm noticing, Ben. They're sending in these very young, very inexperienced, purposefully not prepared lawyers, whether it's the lawyer for the Department of Justice they sent into Judge Reyes on the transgender block case, who did a lot of stammering and I don't know, or Drew Ensign. The judge even said during the hearing, and there's a lot of different pieces going on. I'll break it down here quickly. In this Alien Enemies Act, phony war powers, Venezuelan deportation to an El Salvadorian prison issue that we have here, and these plates are all spinning on this case at different paces and different times procedurally. But my fundamental question I started this off with is why they're picking this judge, this moment, and this particular policy to die on. Because I do believe that they will not succeed, and they will have completely exhausted whatever credibility they ever had as a Department of Justice before judges in the D.C. Circuit Court, D.C. District Court, which Jeff Boasberg presides over as the chief judge. They had very little of it to begin with, starting with the positions they were taking. Positions that are so impertinent and so unprofessional and borderline abusive that the judge even said to Ensign, I am seeing a language being used in filings by the government that I am not familiar with. It is impertinent and impolite and inappropriate. And when you have a judge say that, and the bookend for that comment was to tell him when he wasn't prepared, Drew Ensign and the rest, you have only your reputation and your credibility and your ethics. That's all that you have as a lawyer, and you're in danger of losing that. You need to talk to your fellow colleagues at the government. Will you do that for me? And Ensign was like, yes, Your Honor. See, outside the courtroom, Trump and the press secretary and Musk and whoever in MAGA Congress that they push the button on, or their paid social media influencers through the rapid response team in the White House, they all start, or Pam Bondi, they all start going after the judge in a way you would never think to do it or think it would be effective either. He's a lunatic. This is the playbook from Donald Trump when he was criminal defendant, criminal convict Trump. He's a lunatic. He is a criminal. He's corrupt. He's a lefty. In all of this, he was appointed by Barack Hussein Obama. Somehow George Soros, I'm sure, is thrown in there as well. And all that did, and the calls and the clamor for impeachment, which in our entire 250-year plus history, we've only impeached 15 judges. You got to have 2/3 of the Senate in order to do it. And it was always when there was bribery, like payoffs of a judge. And finally, I've never seen it in my lifetime, and I went back and looked, it's never really happened, where the Supreme Court's leader, the Chief Justice, came out earlier in the week, which was the top story then, and said, knock it off, Trump, as the head of the second Article 2 branch, the executive branch. In 200 years of our history, our precedent, you don't like a judge's decisions, you appeal. You don't impeach. That was a knock it off, pump the brakes, and you chose the wrong judge to go after. Boasberg is widely considered by both sides of the aisle to be a middle-of-the-road, moderate Democrat. That's why he was bipartisanly appointed by two different presidents, Republican and Democrat, into the various points of his career. Roberts put him on the FISA court. Obama put him on the federal court. W put him on the state court as a feeder program, and he's been well considered ever since. And he was a natural to become the chief judge of that district. He was also Kavanaugh's not just classmate, roommate in law school at Yale. He's friendly with Roberts. Roberts felt it was necessary to waste whatever political capital he has to come to the protection because he had to. He was being challenged by Trump. And Trump, rather than seeing that he's in danger of potentially risking votes at the United States Supreme Court the way he's acting now to federal judges about his presidential power, because he learned the wrong lessons when he was a criminal defendant in state and federal criminal courts, He's lost sight of, and the people around him in this hermetically sealed world of his former criminal defense lawyers, now Department of Justice lawyers, and other shining lights like Alina Habba and Stephen Miller and Kristi Noem, who according to reports are the ones who came up with the great idea to use the Alien Enemies Act and deport through Venezuela in the middle of the night before a federal judge could get their jurisdiction around it. So he's got terrible advice givers around him, and now the rubber's going to meet the road with the Supreme Court. The three different things going on that you and I and others are keeping an eye on here on Midas Touch and Legal AF are the temporary restraining order that was entered and expanded last Saturday at about 6:50 at night with Ensign, this lawyer, in the room, where the judge made it clear in the room what the scope and contours of the injunction were, and that was to turn planes around that hadn't been launched yet. If they hadn't landed, get them back and stop deporting pursuant to the Alien Enemies Act until I figure out whether the war power has been properly invoked or not, and whether there's been due process violations or not for the people that have been deported. And so they then went off, not Drew Ensign, but others started writing things in court filings and taking positions with the judge in other hearings about, well, Judge, you didn't put it in writing yet. It was an hour later, and you only told us orally. And the judge says, it's pretty much a stretch. You're telling me my oral injunction, my oral orders don't carry any weight with you, which is absolutely wrong from a jurisprudential standpoint. When you and I still go into court for injunctions, you got to take down notes and you got to get the transcript and almost immediately to understand what the contours of the injunction are. You can't wait around for here's the injunction on the reasons stated in the hearing. You got to know what they are. And he said to this guy in the hearing, that was the Friday hearing that we've been covering, was the hearing to vacate or dissolve the temporary restraining order. That's different than the hearing and the fact-finding about whether the TRO was violated or not. That was all of that was going on. So what the Friday hearing was about, okay, I don't like the language you're using, Mrs. Boasberg, okay? I don't like, where's the other lawyer that was here? And they said, well, he's not here. Okay, I don't like the fact that somebody that argued in front of me on these major issues is not here in front of me, and you are. That's a second thing. Third thing is, did you understand, you were in the court for the injunction, did you understand what I was enjoining? And did you tell your colleagues in government what my order was?
My
yes, Your Honor.
Friend Justin,
right.
First love
and from there on, that completely, and he's going to write this up in an order that's going to be pretty blistering against the Trump administration, because this lawyer, as he had to do, look a judge in the eye and lie, that is a ticket to have your bar license pulled. And you don't want to do that. So that kid knew better, that lawyer knew better than to lie to the judge. And so he's going to be writing he didn't rule yet, he's going to be writing an entire order to keep the temporary restraining order in place while he works on his contempt papers. He's waiting for two final pieces of paper on Tuesday, which you and I will cover. One is, you're gonna exercise the state secrets privilege from 1953. I don't see how that's even applicable. The state secrets privilege, which the Trump administration is trying to use to cloak their bullshit of having, in the middle of the night, signed the presidential proclamation and then put people on planes to get them out from under a judge's jurisdiction. That's not when that's used. That's when generally when a party brings a suit against the government, in order to prove their case against the government, they need to refer to things that the government then intervenes and says, "Yeah, you can't use those. Those are state secrets." And the judge goes, "Well, all right, I'll defer to the administration on that one. You can't use those. Case dismissed." This is not when a judge is trying to get to the bottom and fact-finding about whether his injunction's been violated or not, and wants the logistics of who, what, where, when of the deportation. So they're going to have to now file on Tuesday whether they're invoking it and the grounds for it, and the judge will then assess it. And they also have to file, finally, on Tuesday, there's another, I forget the other piece of paper they file Tuesday, but after that, the judge is going to decide on contempt. We're going to get the ruling on the temporary restraining order. But if they thought that this pressure campaign outside the courtroom, extrajudicial, was going to have an impact on Boasberg, it has backfired, and I think it sets up for potential loss of votes on the Supreme Court level for Donald Trump and his policies based on how he's behaving and the DOJ is behaving.
Look, this is where Donald Trump is most comfortable, attacking the judges, playing the victim. This is so unfair. Activist judges, Obama-appointed judges. He goes into his MAGA cocoon and he starts to whine and whine. We saw this when he was Citizen Donald Trump. It goes right into his playbook right there. And with a judge like Jeb Boasberg, not that it's right to do this to any judge, but he picked on paper a judge who is the most qualified and bipartisan on these specific issues. As you look at, again, Judge Boasberg's background, he first was appointed to become a judge in 2002 to the Superior Court of the District of Columbia. It's a district. So that'd be the equivalent of like a state court judge. But George W. Bush appointed him there. He served 9 years there. And then, bipartisan, former President Barack Obama then appoints him in 2011. Chief Justice John Roberts appoints him to the United States Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court in 2014. He becomes the presiding judge of the top judge of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court in 2020 and 2021. And then also in 2020, he was appointed to the United States Alien Terrorist Removal Court and designated as the chief judge dealing with the issue of alien terrorists. So you couldn't find someone who knows more about the Alien Enemies Act and how it is applied. And yes, Judge Boasberg recognizes that under the executive branch, under Article 2, there are a lot broad powers if you're going to assert war powers. But there are still standards, and we still have a system of judicial review. Why don't I share this with you? Back from 2005, Chief Justice John Roberts, at his confirmation hearing, said the following. Let's play it.
No man is above the law, not the president, and not the Congress. And that's why the courts have an obligation, and have had since Marbury versus Madison, to say.
Yeah, man. When you have sleep apnea, good sleep is a turn on with a CPAP.
No, the hell it ain't.
And have had since Marbury versus Madison to say what.
Since Marbury versus Madison, a case that established the idea of judicial review being entrenched in our Constitution, which was a response to not just an oligarchy, but a monarchy. And our Constitution was saying no kings, and there is a place for judges to review the legality of things. If Trump's saying that there's a war, a judge can say, hey, what's the war? If there is a war and you're invoking war powers and calling individuals enemy combatants of that war, okay, well, what criteria are you using? What's the process to make sure that you're not labeling a Venezuelan woman who's not anything to do with a gang and sending this individual to El Salvador to an all-male concentration camp? Or the story we heard from the ACLU lawyers and other lawyers at the Friday hearing, a soccer coach, professional soccer player back in Venezuela, political exile, had the Real Madrid tattoo on his shoulder, did a peace sign, a love sign that was interpreted by, not interpreted, it should have been interpreted as peace and love, that the Trump regime then said was a Tren de Aragua sign, and then this individual is labeled an enemy combatant in a war, and then he was thrown onto a plane, thought of anything, maybe go back to Venezuela, where, by the way, he'd probably get killed or locked up from the Maduro regime, because he's an exile from the Maduro regime, but at least he was thinking, oh shit, I'm going back to Venezuela, but then goes to El Salvador, and then gets put in an ISIS-style torture video produced by the American government, where you see the people's faces and they're being shaved and kicked on the floor. You can see their faces. So when they're saying, oh, state secrets, they made a video where they show these people. So, okay, well, who are these people? What did they do? And then what is Caroline Levitt out there saying? And it was clear when she said Donald Trump clearly signed it. This is the rhetoric, though, that they use. This is the pink dress lady from North Korea. This is the Baghdad Bob that is here now in a aristocracy Trump regime. Here, play this clip of Caroline Levitt.
President Trump signed a proclamation invoking the Alien Enemies Act regarding the invasion of the United States by the foreign terrorist organization Tren de Aragua. At the president's direction, the Department of Homeland Security carried out a counter-terrorism operation deploying nearly 200 violent Tren de Aragua terrorists, which will save countless Americans.
Now, we know that to be false. Popok, I want to talk to you about that video. Before we do that, I want to take our first break of the show. I want to remind everybody about the Legal AF YouTube channel. It recently passed 500,000 subscribers. It's absolutely soaring, and I know you are building more collaborations there. David Arenberg, you all know him from Court Authority on the Midas Touch Network. He's going to be bringing his team over to the Legal AF channel, so Arenberg and his crew will now be on the Legal AF channel. You have your court accountability crew that's on there as well, and you're leading something incredible there. Also, Michael Popok, I'm so proud that you started your own law firm now. It's about a month old. I've seen you sign up a lot of major cases there, wrongful death cases, catastrophic injury cases, sexual harassment cases. If you have a case that fits that type of criteria, big car accidents, trucking accidents, Michael Popok's representing the family who tragically lost a loved one in the plane crash over Washington, D.C. Michael Popok's representing somebody who's lost a loved one in a trucking accident that tragically killed the person. Popok's handling those cases. Popok, where do they call it and go if they want to bring in the Popok law firm?
Yeah, thanks, Ben. It's I made it as simple as, for me also, as possible. The website is www.thepopokfirm.com, P-O-P-O-K, of course. And the 1-800 number, and what else? 1-877-POPOK-AF.
Want to stop hair loss in its tracks? Through Hims.com, you can explore a range of options that work best for you. So you can
POPOK-AF.
Make sure you all call. Make sure you all check it out. If you have a loved one or you have a friend, you can pass that on. We know that a lot of people have been asking about that in the past. So Popok created his own practice, big risk, proud of you. I know it's already off to a successful launch. All right, everybody, we'll take our first quick break of the show. We'll be right back.
I was really struggling with brain fog and feeling groggy in the mornings. And I was looking for some sort of healthier alternative to just hitting the espresso shot button a few more times with my morning cup. All right, it's March. Spring is just around the corner, and it's the perfect time to refresh your routine. Maybe you're thinking about shaking off the winter blues, or focusing on your wellness, or simply finding a new way to feel energized throughout the day. Well, here's one change I can actually stick to. Ditching the endless cups of coffee for something better. Mud water. If you're looking to cut out those coffee jitters or avoid that afternoon slump, mud water is the perfect nourishing drink to help you power through. It's not your average cup of joe. With a blend of cacao, chai, turmeric, and adaptogenic mushrooms, it helps you feel more focused without the crash. It's smooth, steady, and honestly, it just makes you feel better. And it's easy because we're all busy, right? So just 2 minutes, mix it with hot water or milk, and you're set. No hassle, no over-caffeinated craziness, just pure focus. So whether you're ready to embrace the new season or just want a fresh start to your daily routine, give Mud Water a try and save money today. Our listeners get up to 43% off your entire order, free shipping, and a free rechargeable frother. Head to MUDWTR.com and use the code LegalAF at checkout. And now Mud Water is available at Target and Sprouts locations across the U.S. So it's never been easier to grab a cup of this pick-me-up. Every single ingredient in Mud Water's products are 100% USDA certified, organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, vegan, and kosher. There's also zero sugar.
Yeah, damn it. Started playing 7 Days again. Guess what happens when I find glass bottles? Ooh, part of Picked up my empty liquor bottles. Went to set them down for them to be able to go out. The only thing that went through my mind. There is it. There it is. The thing that went through my mind was this.
Ooh, piece of candy.
I'm sorry. Having that come at you as a Molotov cocktail would fucking suck. More handheld. So, yeah, I can tell I've been playing 7 days again. Ooh, I got a glass bottle. I can make a Molotov cocktail if I get a rag and some gasoline.
Find me in other places: Discord, Twitter, YouTube, Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation Old Mage Guy on TikTok as Mage.
Scrapper brain goes into play and it's just like, ooh, where's your fuel? Oh, pardon me. A few more things I've got to take out. That box will have to move to the floor. That's got to go out to go on the truck when it gets here. And this got to go to the jacks down. And hat, cracker, router. Just making sure they're not going to open. Oh, that's right. Show back on.
And no sweeteners added. Each ingredient in Mudwater serves a purpose. With organic ingredients for a clean, natural boost, Mudwater's smooth, earthy flavors provide a delicious and natural source of energy. To use Mudwater, you simply drop the powder into your favorite mug, pour some water on it, and give it a mix. Some go wild and add creamer, honey, or even CBD. There's also caffeine-free blends available. The best part about Mudwater is it provides sustained energy without the spikes and crash of traditional coffee. Ready to make the switch to cleaner energy? Head to mudwater.com and grab your starter kit today. Right now, our listeners get an exclusive deal up to 43% off your entire order, plus free shipping and a free rechargeable frother when you use code LegalAF. That's right, up to 43% off with LegalAF at MUDWTR.com. After your purchase, they'll ask you how you found them. Please show your support and let them know we sent you. Keep your energy natural and refreshing all year long with Mudwater. Because life life's too short for anything less than clean, delicious energy. We gave Lily, our Border Collie lab mix, her forever home after she was rescued from the floods of Tennessee. And ever since, we've been looking for the right brand of dog food that would manage her weight, extend her life, ensure that it's healthy, but make it easy for us to prepare. We tried it all. Make it yourself. Mix it yourself. Lug 50 pounds of freezer bags around yourself. You name it. We tried it. And then we found Sundays, which gives us healthy food for Lily and easy to store and serve for us. Sundays is fresh dog food made from a short list of human-grade ingredients. Sundays was co-founded by Dr. Tori Waxman, a practicing veterinarian who tests and formulates every version of each recipe. Sundays contains 90% meat, 10% superfoods, and 0% synthetic nutrients or artificial ingredients. For our Lily, that translates into a healthy appetite, great-looking coat and teeth and eyes, an energetic approach to life. Unlike other fresh dog food, Sundays does not require refrigeration or preparation because of their air drying process. Just pour and serve. When you start a Sunday subscription,